Have you ever noticed that we're living in a world where almost anything you could ever want is just a click away, but somehow a lot of us are more anxious and unhappy than ever? It's a huge paradox, right? Well, that's exactly what Dr. Anna Lembke tackles in her incredible book, Dopamine Nation. We're going to break down her science on how our constant chase for pleasure might actually be leading us straight to pain.
Dr. Lembke really doesn't hold back. Just listen to this quote. She calls the smartphone the modern-day hypodermic needle. Wow. I mean, that's a powerful image, but it gets right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? Our phones are constantly feeding us these little hits of digital dopamine, and it is fundamentally rewiring our brains.
And you know, it's so much bigger than just our phones. I mean, just look at this list. We've engineered a world of just overwhelming abundance. All these things, food, news, shopping, social connection, used to be kind of rare or required some real effort to get. Now they're everywhere all the time. It's like we're standing in front of a nonstop fire hose of pleasure.
So, why is having all this access a bad thing? I mean, shouldn't it be great? Well, it all comes down to this really fundamental concept of how our brains are wired. Think of it as a pleasure-pain seesaw.
And that seesaw is all about dopamine. Now, here's a super important thing to get right. Dopamine isn't actually the chemical of pleasure, it's the chemical of motivation. It's the I want molecule, not the I like molecule. It's that little nudge that makes you grab your phone before you even consciously decide to. It's all about the chase.
So, the book's big analogy, the one that explains everything, is this seesaw. Picture it in your brain. One side is pleasure, the other is pain. And your brain's number one job, its absolute main goal, is to keep that seesaw perfectly level. That balanced state is called homeostasis.
Okay, so let's see how this works. You eat a delicious cookie, right? The seesaw tips down on the pleasure side. Ah, nice. But here's the catch. Your brain doesn't just gently bring it back to level. No, it overcorrects. It slams the seesaw down an equal amount on the pain side. And that little dip into pain, that's the craving for another cookie. That's the just one more feeling.
Now, this is where things start to get really messy. If you keep hitting that pleasure button, cookie after cookie, your brain starts to adapt. Dr. Lembke uses this amazing metaphor. It's like little gremlins start setting up camp on the pain side of your seesaw. They're adding weight, which means your whole baseline, your neutral state, starts to tilt towards pain.
And that is what tolerance is. Those gremlins mean that now you don't need one cookie to feel good, you need 3 cookies just to feel normal. The pleasure is gone, and you're just trying to get back to level. And pretty soon, the simple joys in life, like watching a sunset or just talking to a friend, they start to feel kind of boring.
So what happens when an entire society gets its pleasure-pain balance all out of whack? The results are, well, they're probably not what you'd guess.
Just take a look at this data. You'd assume that more wealth, more access to all the good stuff in life would lead to more happiness. Makes sense, right? But it's the exact opposite. Wealthier countries, the ones with the most abundance, report way higher rates of anxiety. How can that be?
This quote from Dr. Tom Funicun just absolutely nails it. Our brains evolved over millennia for a world of scarcity, a world where a reward was a rare and wonderful thing. We're cacti, you know? Built for a dry, arid climate. But now we find ourselves living in a rainforest, and we are literally drowning in dopamine.
Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But the good news is there is a way out. We're not doomed. So let's talk about the solutions, about how we can start to find our balance again.
And I want to be really clear about this. This is not about just having more willpower or trying harder. Willpower is a limited resource. It runs out. What we need are actual practical strategies that work with our brain's biology, not against it.
The first strategy, and honestly the most powerful one, is what's called a dopamine fast. Dr. Lembke says you need a minimum of 4 weeks away from whatever your drug of choice is, be it social media, sugar, whatever. Why 4 weeks? Because that's about how long it takes for those gremlins on the pain side to finally pack up and leave, letting your brain's reward pathways reset to their natural baseline.
Okay, strategy number 2 is called self-binding. And the idea here is brilliant in its simplicity. Just stop relying on willpower. Instead, you intentionally create real physical barriers between you and your temptation. You make it harder to do the thing you don't want to do.
So let me tell you about one of Lembke's patients, a guy named Oscar. He was a retired professor, and he realized he was drinking way too much when he was home alone, tinkering in his study or his garage. He just couldn't seem to stop himself.
So what did Oscar do? He didn't just try harder. He practiced self-binding. All the alcohol in the house went into a locked file cabinet, and, here's the key, only his wife had the key. That one simple physical barrier removed the constant, exhausting decision-making. And you know what? It worked.
All right, now we come to the most counterintuitive, the most radical idea in the entire book. If leaning on the pleasure side of the seesaw is what got us into this mess, what would happen if we started intentionally leaning on the pain side?
Now, this might sound crazy, but it's not a new idea at all. Way back, over 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates himself noticed that one kind of pain could actually be used to treat another. This is the ancient wisdom that underlies the modern science of hormesis, the idea that small, manageable doses of stress are actually really good for us.
So what does this actually look like? Well, it's things like intense exercise that really pushes you, or taking an ice-cold shower, intermittent fasting, even the mental strain of trying to learn a new language or a musical instrument. These are all healthy forms of pain that we choose to engage with. And here is the beautiful payoff. When you deliberately press down on the pain side of the seesaw, your brain's natural overcorrection doesn't bring you back to neutral. It tips you way over into the pleasure side. By embracing effort, by choosing discomfort, we are literally hijacking our own biology to access a much more powerful and sustainable reward system.
Which really leaves us with one final big question. In this world that pushes comfort and ease on us at every turn, maybe the real path to lasting contentment is found by choosing to do the hard things. So I'll ask you, what pain will you choose to pursue?